Am I a joke to you? Avatar 2 has a massive problem with plot armor.
Those scripts. Says we gots to let them blue.
It's
It's
Sheldon. I
weird.
just came back from Avatar 2, The Way of Water. Seen it, this is my second viewing, and this time I saw it with company and friends. One of whom is actually a cameraman, and he saw it from a completely different perspective than I did. He was obviously very much more impressed with the visual aspect, but he did notice two incredibly bad background shots where you could tell that the CGI was very obvious. He says that should have been on the cutting room floor. I have no idea what he was talking about because it was his trained cameraman's eye, though. But he says that they should have been cut completely because they were so obvious. At least to somebody who knew what they were looking for. Well, I didn't. Oh, anyway. So people who are going to call James Cameron a visionary director, they have a right to, mainly because in terms of the technology and the amount of effort put into this film, top notch, absolute. But the story is fucking abysmal. There's basically three stories. It feels like basically what James Cameron did was he just took all of his number one hits, the Aliens. He took Aliens, Avatar 1, and Titanic for the third act and just smashed them together. And then they decided to write a script as an afterthought. And the script specifically says none of the Na'vi who we actually are named are allowed to die. There are at least 5 moments clearly visible to anybody paying attention, where every single member of Jake's family, or at least some of them, should have been killed. Or at the very least, very badly injured. During the train robbery, where they derail the maglev. There's 2 gunships flying escort. These gunships, I've got the Way of Water, the visual dictionary. These gunships has guns pointing in literally every direction. It specifically says that they are very difficult to surprise. And yet that's exactly what happens. These gunships, and I might add the guns on the train itself, you can tell. Visually, they have clear lines of sight. There's no way they could have missed the Na'vi coming in, both from the ground but especially from the air. But somehow they do. So anyways, the train gets blown up, and then the 2 helicopters get shot down, making these flying arsenals turn from terrifying enemies, these mini dragon gunships, into just jokes like that. They never get off a single shot, and they never even are seen to even react to the imminent attack. Then, when Loak and Big Bro descend from their watch positions on high and join the looting, and that third gunship shows up, that gunship had them all dead to rights, and it could have wiped them all out if it just opened up with like any of its guns, basically. Instead, it waits for several seconds for no apparent reason in an environment where there's Na'vi all over the goddamn place, and the whole place is littered with explosives because the train was clearly mostly carrying weapons. There's absolutely no reason for that helicopter, that gunship, to not open up and just rip them all to shreds right then and there. Instead, it takes 2-3 whole seconds and then casually lobs a missile or two their way. The missiles should have set off all the ammunition lying around the place, but instead, it doesn't kill anybody. It almost kills one person, just to show that humans might actually be a legitimate threat this time around. And what happens is nobody dies, and none of the guns on that flying arsenal are fired. Not even one. A split second later, Loak pulls out one of the RPGs that they just took from the train, which, by the way, just happens to work. It works first time, even though he just pulled out the wreckage of that train. There's nothing wrong with it. And he just flips off the safety or whatever and shoots the helicopter down. And this helicopter is looking right at him when he does this, and doesn't kill him first. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. The third time, that's like the first 30 seconds of the movie, so you know it's going to be bad from that point forward. The third time is when Jake and Neytiri rescue their family from Quaritch for the first, and unfortunately, and not the final time, more like there will be 4-5 more versions of that as well. Basically what happens is They've got all your kids hostage, literally knives to their throats, and using them as shields. But everybody seems to have forgotten that once the firefight broke out and some people died, of course, all of them bad, evil Na'vi, there was a whole bunch of gunships, once again, that were on station very close by, including one of those absolutely gigantic flying fortresses, the C-21 Dragon, Quirij's original ride from Avatar 1. We saw how much damage that thing did in that movie, right? Well, the thing that brought down Home Tree almost on its own, well, guess what? It doesn't do that this time either. It just fucking sits there. Quaritch doesn't call in any air support, any airstrikes, nothing. Those gunships just sit there. They could have probably even heard the fucking explosions from where they were, and they just sit there and do absolutely nothing. If they had unloaded their full weapons payload on that place, they would have at the very least, killed some of Jake's family, or Jake himself, or Neytiri, or at the very least, badly injured some of them. But they don't do that. They just sit there, do nothing, wait out the whole fight, and then pick up Quaritch after he's captured Spider, who apparently nobody in Jake's family give a shit about anyways, as an afterthought, as a consolation prize after losing several more of his men to the traitor Jake Sully. The fourth, the fourth and most ludicrous one is when, this is the third and terrible, horrible act of the movie, where the whole water tribe are in that Mexican standoff with all those boats with all those massive guns on them. And they've got two more of those apparently completely useless attack helicopters who are only good for killing whales, apparently. And they've all got clear lines of sight on each other. Like, they literally show you aiming their scopes at each other's heads. They have got crystal clear lines of sight, and everybody is just sitting there doing nothing. There's one problem here. Jake is the only person on the Na'vi side with a firearm. None of the water people have a ranged weapon that is even capable of scratching the humans or even touching them from that distance. The humans have machine guns, grenade launchers, torpedoes, two fucking attack helicopters, which are just shot down as jokes again. You can see my problem with this movie, right? Everybody should have died in that scene. The whole water tribe could have been wiped out, and there's even a moment that's very telling where the evil human whaling pirate captain, who's only there for money, nothing else, of course, because Australians are even more evil than Americans, apparently. He literally says, "Will somebody please shoot something?" He is literally fourth wall breaking how bad this shit is gotten at this point. Because the humans can't hit anything that actually dies. Apparently, all of our technology, all of our bullets, they don't mean anything to the superiority of Na'vi arrows, which hit and kill everything from humans to helicopter gunships in one shot. Or your money back. But yeah, apparently Na'vi arrows are magic wonder weapons that kill every single time and guide themselves to the target, and bullets and actual missiles are not. They don't hit anything. They don't kill anybody important, and they certain as hell don't pose any real threat. I'm never seeing an Avatar movie again. This is it. I'm done.